It's not possible.
I didn't say it would be easy, Neo.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, the Committee on Parole is called to order. Today is Monday, May 20th, 2024. The time is 9:02 a.m. My name is Cheryl Renatza. We have a 5-member panel this morning. My colleagues with me on the panel, seated to my far left, Mr. Chucky Tillis. To my immediate left, Ms. Carolyn Stapleton. To my immediate right, Mr. Pete Freeman. And to my far right is Mr. Danny Barra. We are your panel today. We are seated at DOC headquarters in Baton Rouge. First, I'd like to have the staff here at headquarters. Please introduce yourself for the record.
Carla Williams. Freddie Zabit.
Okay, and our first remote location is at Dixon Correctional Institute. Warden, would you introduce yourself and have your staff introduce themselves?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, board. Dusty Bickham, warden.
Donald Cavalier, classification manager.
Dominique Perkins, classifications.
Jamie Duvall, mental health.
And that's it for now.
Okay, well, thanks for accommodating us this morning. I want to recognize some guests we have here in Baton Rouge with us. We have some law students with the Access to Justice Fellowship who are here from LSU and Southern University, who will be here observing our hearings this morning. Welcome. We're glad y'all are here. Our first case this morning is Mr. Camus. Good morning, Mr. Camus.
Good morning, ma'am.
Would you introduce yourself, sir? Tell us your name and DOC number.
Richard Camus, 351341.
Yes, sir, Mr. Camus. I'm going to read some information into the record and ask you to confirm that information. Then I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Tillis. Your case has been assigned this morning. I'm sorry, Mr. Freeman. Thank you. He'll take the lead on the interview. I want to recognize that we do have Mr. Meyer here from the DA's office in Jefferson Parish. He's indicated he'd like to speak, and we'll call on him at the appropriate time to do so. All right. So, Mr. Camus, you're classified as a 4th felon offender. You're currently serving a 10-year sentence. You were sentenced in June of 2021 for theft, $500 or more, theft, $300 or less, aggravated flight from an officer and resisting police, and as a habitual offender, simple burglary of an inhabited. So as I said, your total sentence is 10 years. You have a parole eligibility date, which was November 12th, 2022, and your your good time mandatory release date is February 12th, 2029. Does all that sound correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you answer Mr. Freeman, please?
Okay, Mr. Camus, how old are you?
49.
Okay, and how long have you been in jail on this charge?
Almost 4 years.
Okay. What's your educational level?
6th grade.
Okay. Have you ever tried to get your GED since you've been incarcerated?
Yes, sir. I had a learning disability. They said
Okay. Gordon, you have something to add? I see you're looking at your notes.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Freeman. I was looking at some of the people coming in. No, sir, I'm good right now.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Camus, what was going on? What was your problem? Why all these crimes?
I had a drug addiction, sir.
Do you still have a drug addiction?
No, sir. I'm working on it. I struggle with that every day.
Okay.
But I'm doing good.
Right. So you still have a addiction, you're just not using.
Yes, sir. I'm not using.
What kind of programs have you taken for drugs?
I took trying to think of the name of that. Living in Balance.
Mm-hmm.
I took Cage of Rage. Can't remember all of them right now. I'm nervous, sir.
A bunch of them, I can see that. You took a lot of classes. Which class do you think you got the most out of?
I would say living in balance because it hit a bunch of different areas.
Okay. Most of your charges, they're burglaries, but, looks like all of them happen. You own supervision. What's the problem with supervision? Why you can't abide by the rules and regulations when you're on the streets?
So I was doing good and I'd hurt myself and I started taking medication and it triggered me back off to the drugs.
All right. You don't have any violent, history on your record, but, you almost could call when you resisted arrest violent. I mean, were you all messed up when you was running from the cops?
Yes, sir.
And you fought with the cops?
I ran from them and when they was putting the handcuffs on me, I was in shock, I guess.
Okay. I look at the recommendations. The sheriff is opposed. Vic Chancellor Incorporated is one of your victims. They're unopposed. Benton Gas is opposed. Troy Boudreaux, a victim, is opposed. Deputy Brent Bolderose is unopposed, but Sergeant Ty Revere is opposed. And I want to read Sergeant Revere's statement. Sergeant Revere feels Mr. Camus has not served enough of his sentence yet. He also feels that since he endangered the community by fleeing from law enforcement in a reckless manner, he should not be granted parole so soon. He drove recklessly through a school zone with no regard for the safety of others. So that was his statement. And your family, where are you going to live if you get out?
2617 Dolores, Morero, Louisiana,
Who's that with?
with my son.
Okay, is he here today or he didn't come?
He didn't come, sir. My daughter was supposed to be on Zoom if she got it through.
How many children do you have?
I have 2, sir.
You get along with them? Do you talk to
Yes,
them?
sir.
What about your sobriety plan? What that's going to be when you get out? How you going to stay off of drugs? Because you got a bad problem.
I'm gonna look for some outside help. That's something that I'm gonna struggle. I guess I'm gonna struggle with for the rest of my life.
I see you went to Blue Walters, but that was way back in '98, it looks like. Do we have any detainers? I think I read something, but it was a local detainer, I believe.
On the master prison.
Okay. Warden, what do you have to say? What kind of community work does he do at the prison?
Good morning, board. He, inside the structured environment of corrections, he does pretty good, and that's all I can speak to. He hadn't had any write-ups since he's been here. He is a good carpenter. I got to give him credit. He works at our training center as a trustee down there, and he does good carpenter work when we have things going on with the different, like Memorial Day and things like that. He does put forth effort with that, and I think he helps with the food bank too as well. But like I said, he does a good job inside this environment for sure.
Okay, thank you, Warden. I have no further questions, Madam Chair.
I have a couple of questions, Mr. Camus. I noticed, as we said, you're a 4th offender, and I noticed that you were released, your term expired in 1999, and you stayed free for almost 10 years, and you got a new conviction. You mentioned that you got hurt and you started using medication, medicating yourself, I guess. When did you get hurt?
When I was working climbing trees, I'd fell and I'd hurt myself and I got on pain medication. When that was, I don't remember exactly, ma'am, but I know
Just
that's
prior to this period of incarceration or some years ago?
from years ago.
Okay, so I see that. So then you were locked back up in 2010 for a new conviction, and I see you were in and out, or you had some medical treatment while you were in prison. But then you also released again in 2020 and came right back in 21. Why is that?
My drug addiction, ma'am.
So you continued, once you got the injury, then you continued through that self-medication.
I switched over to a harder drug from the pain medication would trigger me back off to the harder drug.
I understand. So you were self-medicated. How old were you when you first started using illegal drugs?
Probably 13.
What'd you start with?
Weed.
And then you just progressed on?
Yes, ma'am.
So when you had your accident, when you fell out of the tree, were you a substance abuser at that time, or you just had quit, or what?
I was drinking and stuff like that. No hard drugs. But
And as Mr. Freeman said, I think, did you go to the Blue Walters program?
yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Just prior to that release in 1999. So what did you learn from that program?
I learned that I can't do it alone. And to be honest with you, I remember the serenity prayer.
So whenever you were out after you released in 1999, what did you do for your sobriety at that time? Was there any plan? Did you go to meetings? What did you do?
I worked and kept myself busy. I didn't see no meetings, ma'am,
Till you got hurt?
till I got hurt.
You started spiraling, okay. And the judge ordered you to pay restitution. It's a little over $10,000. You're aware of that.
Yes, ma'am.
How do you plan on doing that? I see, are you going to be working with
My son,
your son? I saw that. And what does he do?
landscaping, and he cuts trees also.
Okay. And, okay, I don't have any other questions. Any questions by my colleagues?
Good morning, sir. I just wanted to know, I know you said you kept busy last time, and I'm sure that was with working. So it sounds like in order to pay back the restitution, that's really going to be the process you'll have to do this time. So how will you find time to maybe attend meetings or things that you're going to need to do to stay clean from your drug addiction? Because that's going to be difficult.
I'm gonna have to find me a night meeting in the evenings when I get off of work, ma'am.
Do you feel like you can do that?
I'm always gonna need help, I feel like.
That's my only question.
Ms. Farrar?
Sir, back on the inmate classes, I see that you had 15 prior to this incarceration that you completed, and then 7 since this incarceration. Are you doing anything different in those classes, studying a little harder, or to make sure that those classes help you better than they did? Because the first 15 didn't seem to help you stay out of trouble. So I was wondering about the 7 and the ones you're doing now. Have you learned anything more?
It's basically I don't know, I'm nervous. I'm gonna need help. So like I'm said before, I can't do it alone.
And then I see on your risk assessment, you were arrested as a juvenile when you were 13 years old. What kind of crime was that? Can you tell me something about that 13-year-old or age arrest?
A stolen truck.
Stolen truck. And how did that resolve you? What did you get for it? Punishment?
I was incarcerated. Well, went to detention center, a hospital in New Orleans, NOAA. It's a substance abuse treatment center next to Children's Hospital.
And you went there?
And then from there, I went to LTI.
Right. And then I see you were arrested 12 times. That included 39 crimes, 10 crimes against a person, and you're now a 4th felony offender. That's a pretty healthy criminal record. Tell us why we should think that you're done with that life now and we should let you go. That's a lot of criminal record over 13 years old till now. Tell us why you think it's gonna be different this time.
So, I'm nervous.
Take your time.
Y'all probably hear this a lot. I'm just tired, older, and I want to spend time with my family and kids. And I'd like to apologize to society and my family for putting them through all this. I don't know how to answer the question, so.
Then I see you've had 5 prior terms of supervision, and 3 of those 5 got revoked. You had a problem with the probation officers, or what was your problem with?
No, sir.
Oh,
The drugs was my problem.
the drug? All right, that's the only questions I had.
All right, Mr. Myers, could we hear from you, sir?
Good morning, Randy Myers, Assistant DA, Jefferson Parish. We're opposed at this time to Mr. Camis's request for parole. Looking back at, if we look back at the commitment when the judge sentenced him, he recommended that he attend the Steve Hoyle program and other self-help programs. And he hadn't done that. And I think it's pretty clear in Mr. Camis's responses that he needs a long-term substance abuse program in order to help him when he eventually does get out. I think it's also pretty clear based on his, he said he finished the 6th grade and has some disabilities which prevent him from getting his GED. I think some vocational programming would help him because, I think the drugs are a problem and theft could be related as well to the inability to get a job. And so I think vocational programming would be beneficial to him to help him when he does eventually get out to be able to maybe get a job and support himself instead of stealing from others. He's only served 4 of the 10 years that he was sentenced to. He's poor supervision record and, a pretty extensive criminal record. And he has a high risk assessment, which is something that I rarely see. So I think for all those reasons, he should be denied today, and he should, try to get some more help via vocational programs and maybe the Steve Hall program.
Sir? Mr. Camus, is there anything you'd like to say to us before we vote?
No, ma'am.
All right, I think we're prepared to vote. Mr. Freeman?
Yeah, Mr. Camus, first off, I want to congratulate you on your discipline record. That's very good. No write-ups in 4 years. But it's kind of like Mr. Myers said, you've only done 4 out of 10, and we need a Steve Hall program. I don't think you could beat drugs went on the street right now. There's just no way in my mind. You need more help. Got so my vote today is to be to revoke, and would be to deny and to look into getting into the Steve Hall program.
Great, thank you. Mr. Tillis?
I concur.
Mrs. Stapleton?
I concur also.
Mr. Barra?
I concur.
Mr. Camus, I do agree. I think that your age has something to do with your thought that you're ready. And I'm so proud to hear you say you acknowledge that you're going to help and can't do it by yourself. My vote today is the same as my colleagues, but we're going to make a strong recommendation that you be afforded the opportunity for the Steve Hoyle. It's an intensive substance abuse treatment program. And once you do that, hopefully you can get some vocational skills training, although Warden Bickham says you're a pretty good carpenter. Right back once you finish that program, and hopefully the next time you'll have a different outcome. Good luck.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
I want you to sit on the front row and learn what you can. Good luck.
All right, thank you, boy.
All right.